Basic principles, an essential subject from Vinipedia. If the people of the world understood that the basic principle of life is spiritual identification, they would understand that the business of the spirit soul is to serve the Supreme Spirit, Ka. As Lord Ka says in the Bhagavad Gita 15.7, Mambo J Valok J Vabhta Santana. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. All living entities in different life forms are sons of Ka. Therefore they are all meant to serve Ka, the original Supreme Father. That is the basic principle for everyone. Srila Prabhupada's books, lectures, conversations and letters offer a comprehensive presentation of this essential subject as seen in the Vinicote's Basic Principles category. An introduction from his books is given below in the following 10 quotes. Quotes from Srila Prabhupada's books. A living entity becomes established in spiritual, blissful life when he fully understands that his happiness depends on spiritual self-realization, which is the basic principle of Nanda, bliss, and when he is eternally situated in the service of the Lord, who has no other Lord above him. Armad Bh Gavatam 5.19. 20. All living beings have a right to live, even the trees and plants. This is the basic principle of Narayan civilization. Apart from the lower living entities, those who have come to the platform of human civilization should be divided into a society of Brahmas, Kshatriyas, Vaiyas and Dras. The Brahmas should follow the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as stated in Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures. Armad Bh Gavatam 6.16. 43. Although pure goodness, or Udasattva, is the basic principle in the spiritual world, pure manifestation of goodness is not possible in this material world. Thus, the struggle for existence between different material qualities is always present. This quarrel between Lord Eva and Bhikhu Muni, centering around Prapadidaka, is the practical example of such competition between the different qualitative modes of material nature. Armad Bh Gavatam 4.5. 4. Eskaya philosophy is the analytical study of all existence. One has to understand everything by examining its nature and characteristics. This is called acquirement of knowledge. But one should not simply acquire knowledge without reaching the goal of life or the basic principle for acquiring knowledge, Bhakti Yoga. If we give up Bhakti Yoga and simply busy ourselves in the analytical study of the nature of things as they are, then the result will be practically nil. Armad Bh Gavatam 3.29. 1-2. If we give up Bhakti Yoga and simply busy ourselves in the analytical study of the nature of things as they are, then the result will be practically nil. It is stated in the Bh Gavatam that such engagement is something like husking a paddy. There is no use beating the husk if the grain has already been removed. By the scientific study of material nature, the living entity and the supersoul, one has to understand the basic principle of devotional service to the Lord. Armad Bh Gavatam 3.29. 1-2. In our ignorance we may create nationalism, philanthropy, internationalism, science, philosophy and so many other things. The basic principle behind all these is ignorance. What then is the value of all this advancement of knowledge if the basic principle is ignorance? Unless a person comes to Kaya consciousness, all of his activities are defeated. This human form of life is especially meant to dissipate ignorance, but without understanding how to dissipate ignorance people are planning and building many things. Armad Bh Gavatam 4.25. 34. Material activities performed for political emancipation and social and humanitarian activities performed with an idea that people of the world will be happy are also illusory because the basic principle is the bodily conception, which is illusory. Whatever we desire or perform under the bodily conception is all illusion. In other words, Lord Vivu informed Pithuma Arya that although the sacrificial performances set an example for ordinary people, there was no need for such sacrificial performances as far as his personal self was concerned. Armad Bh Gavatam 4.20. 5. One should not think that he is the proprietor, benefactor, friend or enjoyer. He should always be cognizant that the real enjoyer is Ka, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the basic principle of Bhakti Yoga. One must be firmly convinced of these three principles. One should always think that Ka is the proprietor, Ka is the enjoyer and Ka is the friend. Not only should he understand these principles himself, but he should try to convince others and propagate Ka consciousness. Armad Bh Gavatam 3.27. 5. The living entities are also parts of the whole living entity. That supreme living entity is the factual basis of affection for all. One who has forgotten the basic principle of his love for everything has only flickering love because he is in MY. The more one is affected by the principle of MY, the more he is detached from the basic principle of love. One cannot factually love anything unless he is fully developed in the loving service of the Lord. Armad Bh Gavatam 3.9. 42. Asthana Bhakti refers to the development of devotional service through the regulative principles. The basic principle for the execution of devotional service is faith. Above that there is association with devotees, and after that there is initiation by a bona fide spiritual master. After initiation, when one follows the regulative principles of devotional service, one becomes freed from all unwanted things. In this way one becomes firmly fixed and gradually develops a taste for devotional service. Kaitanya Karatam Ta, Madhya LL 23.13